So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know we have some of our guests who are on a tight schedule. So on behalf of the airport, thank you for being here. It's really our privilege to host this gathering here at the airport. We think that in 1934, the cities and counties in the region came together on this site, and at that time there was nothing but trees and hills and valleys. And I know those forefathers would be very pleased to see our two county commissions and even the representatives we have beyond those two county commissions here today. So we appreciate their work, and we appreciate the work that you all do. I'd like to first introduce our airport commissioners that are here. I'll try to go very quickly, and maybe they can raise their hand or otherwise be identified. From Johnson City, number one, our chairman, Dr. John Smith, and then Dan Mahoney. I know Dan's not here, and then David Tamita may be here. I haven't had a chance to see if you are, David. From Kingsport, we have Ken Manus, and our other Kingsport commissioner on the airport is Parker Smith. From Bristol, Tennessee, we have Bill Sora. From Bristol, Virginia, we have Dan Marciano. From Sullivan County, of course, Mayor Richard Venable and Eddie Williams. From Washington County, we have our Vice Chair, Todd Hensley, Mitch Meredith, and John A. Teague. I know John A. is here. And then if I can, I'd like to very quickly introduce our airport staff. Particularly, I'd like to recognize Sean Eberhardt. Sean, are you out here somewhere? She's in the very back. Sean is our executive assistant, but she's our chief event planner. So everything that you're going to see in front of you and eat and anything else, Sean has led the effort on that. So Sean, you've done a great job. Thank you. Could we give Sean just a quick hand? Sean's had a lot of help from all of our staff, so I won't need to begin to name all of those, but I would like to recognize our management team that's here. David Jones is our Director of Operations. Christy Halsey is our Director of Marketing and Air Service Development. And Mark Canty is our Director of Trade and Business Development. So with that, Richard offered me something I consider a great privilege. Throughout the years, I've had the opportunity to go to many of your commission meetings, and Richard offered me, I see how hard you work at those, and I have a lot of respect for what you do every meeting and every day for the betterment of our region. And so Richard offered me the opportunity to lead this group in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I consider that a real honor. So I know we have a lot of veterans here, so in honor of our veterans and in honor of our country, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Richard, thank you for that.
Thank you and your staff, particularly Sean. This has all happened since this morning, and we've watched it evolve, and I can't thank you enough. Very fitting that we hold this initial meeting between Sullivan County and Washington County Commissions here, because the centerpiece of our regional cooperation lies just across the runway in the Aerospace Park. And I can tell you, your representatives worked for 2 years on that historic agreement, not just historic for Sullivan County, Washington County, but probably historic for the state, for its forward-looking provisions on revenue sharing and things of that nature. So, past commissions that worked on that, and of course, Patrick got us all here early in the morning and fed us breakfast, and say for 2 years. So the project well worthwhile. Thank you for coming here, commissioners. This is, as I say, a historic meeting, at least known history that we know of. we see things that we can do together in the future. We sit just a few miles apart, and sometimes it's hard to cover that territory with communications even that we have today. And as we were looking at the clock and whether we call the meeting to order, I looked at Patrick and said, Patrick, they're doing what we wanted them to do. Let's don't stop them. They're talking to each other. And that's what we want to do. We want to establish a basis for friendship and relationship between the commission so that you're comfortable. As you all know, about 80% of our new jobs in Northeast Tennessee are created by people already here. We have great partnerships with the state of Tennessee, TVA, and our business community. And that business community creates about 80% of those jobs. It's interesting that that's where the focus always comes back to, is the growth in our area. And as you know, we have a population that's not growing as we'd like, with new people. And that's the only place we're missing out. Because we have great industry, we have the greatest place in the world to live. So we have to redouble our efforts to tell people about this land that we live in and what a great place it is to live and raise children. As we go forward, we will be establishing some working groups to establish goals between Washington County and Sullivan County, finding that common ground where we can lift the whole region. And we will also be inviting and joining with our surrounding counties, the 6 other counties that comprise Northeast Tennessee. So this is the first step. I think it's a historic and major step. But we do have plans to go on, and certainly we'll be working with you and ask you to work with your colleagues as we come up with ideas. People say, what are the ideas you have? Well, we don't have them yet. They're sitting out here 49 people. 49 different people can have 49 great ideas, and that's what we're trying to harness here today. I'll close up by saying about over 240 years ago, the first regional meeting was held when our Southwest Virginia neighbors out of Abingdon, Virginia, met our colleagues at Rocky Mountain and began the trek to Kings Mountain, North Carolina. That led to the independence of the United States. That was the first regional meeting. We hope to continue on in that tradition and that spirit. Only a few years later, 1986, a little history lesson. In 1986, a lot of right-thinking people and people who shared some common interests decided that they wanted their independent spirit to be free, and they formed the state of Franklin. And I'm sure a lot of you know that history. The state of Franklin was formed in 1784, and lasted to 1786. What I want to do, and what I hope we leave here with tonight, is the spirit of the Over Mountain meeting, and the spirit of the state of Franklin founders. That said, we can take care of ourselves. We have great partners, but we accept the responsibility for our future. Accepting the responsibility for a future that we can shape. And that's what I hope we can achieve with a start here tonight. So thank you so much for coming. It's a great crowd. We thought these, but the quality of the crowd certainly meets every expectation. So thank you. I'll introduce our congressman who is on a tight schedule, and he's going to read the proclamation that Mayor Grandy and I have put together.
First of all, this looks a lot more bipartisan, I can tell you that. Y'all are all talking to each other and smiling and so forth. And as I looked at that airplane just land, I mean, there couldn't be a more beautiful place in the United States than landing right here and coming in. I absolutely believe that. I said this morning, and some of you I've seen this morning will have to just bear with me for a second or two, but I'm going to tell you why I think this is so important. I looked at, in the Business Journal, not long ago, I looked at our 10 counties, 2 in Southwest Virginia and 8 upper East Tennessee counties. Only 2 had population growth. Our young people. In Southwest Virginia, I know the coal industry has had a really difficult time. And I was asked to speak at Tennessee Tech 2.5 years ago about entrepreneurship and business formation, and I looked at and saw a poll in this country, thought the country was headed in the wrong direction. And I thought, well, with unemployment rate dropping from 10 to 5, and with why do American people feel that way? Well, there was a reason. The recession that occurred in 1990 with President Bush and on to 1995, 420,000 new businesses were formed. President George W. Bush in 2000 had the dot-com bust. And during that recession, we recovered from it with another 400,000 jobs from 2000 to 2005. During the biggest economic downturn since the Depression, that recovery between 2010 and 2015 had 167,000 businesses. That's millions of jobs that never occurred. That's actually the good news. Here was the bad news. Of the 3,100 counties in America, 3,100, 20 of them, 20, made up half of all the new business formation in America. You say that again, 20 counties out of 3,100. And we know where they are. I mean, the state bird in Nashville's the cream. And it's San Francisco and Dallas and Houston and San Diego. We know the names of the cities. It isn't us though. And here's the other thing, the reason that poll was that way. 60% of counties during that recovery, that economic recovery, lost businesses. They shuttered businesses. So that's why 2/3 or 60%, because in their county, whether it's Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever, they saw businesses leaving. And so that's why I think what you all are doing right now is critically important for our region. Look, I can promise you, Davidson County didn't care if we squabbled on fight. If we get together, and I guarantee you Shelby County doesn't care, or Montgomery County, where I'm from, doesn't care. It is imperative that we get together as a region and go in lockstep as a region and sell what I think one of the greatest stories in the world. I wouldn't live anywhere else. And I want to congratulate the commissions for doing this, and Patrick, thank you for your leadership that you've done here with the airport. I really hate to see you leave, but you have done a phenomenal job here, and I want to personally thank you publicly for that job you've done. I'm going to go through these whereases as fast as I can. Whereas at no time in recorded history of Northeast Tennessee have the combined Sullivan County Commission and the Washington County Commission met together in a joint work session. And whereas it is the belief of Sullivan County Mayor Richard Venable and Washington County Mayor Joe Grandy that a joint work session is a fitting way to begin building new bonds of friendship and collaboration between the two legislative bodies. And whereas Mayor Venable and Mayor Grandy seek to move the region forward in much the same manner as the 6 local governments, including Sullivan and Washington counties, have long shared responsibility for the maintenance and prosperity of a vital air link to our region in the form of the Tri-Cities Airport. Whereas the mayors of Sullivan and Washington County, Tennessee have determined to move forward, forging greater bonds of partnership and cooperation and recognition that joint workforce readiness and economic development programs present a tangible opportunity for the betterment of Northeast Tennessee citizens. And whereas the mayors seek to build on today's starting point by establishing a working committee and members to be named collaboratively by the mayors, and whereas recognizing that every day should involve an effort to reach out across arbitrary imaginary lines that serve as barriers within our own private lives as well as the political lives, in hopes of improving our neighborhoods and communities for the betterment of our children and our future. Now, therefore, Mayor Venable and Mayor Grandy jointly declare Thursday, October 18th, as a date that should be remembered annually as Regional Cooperation Day in Sullivan and Washington counties. Mayors, congratulations and thank you for putting this together. We, because of schedules, we did vary from our
schedule, but now it's my great pleasure. And I'm quite honestly to introduce my friend, Mayor Joe Grandy of Washington County. Joe.
Well, Richard is a great friend, and he's been a long time friend. It turns out that Richard is one of our seasoned mayors in the district, which we all look to for counsel and advice on a regular basis, and we appreciate that. Thank you all for being here tonight, and this is really a great crowd. Regional cooperation has received probably more attention in the last little bit than I can ever remember, and it's been led by our local Chamber of Commerce leaders and the business community, and has gotten us, I think, to where we are here today. I'm pleased to see everyone here today. I'm pleased to see these chamber leaders here, to join in this particular celebration. Certainly, this is an appropriate place. This airport was a cooperative effort decades ago of regional cooperation, which is what we're here to celebrate tonight. Regional cooperation that Mayor Venable and my predecessor, Dan Eldridge, and others, put together to bring three cities and 2 counties together to create what's going to become Aerospace Park, which is really, we're here to celebrate the progress of that tonight and get an update on it shortly. We're also, as part of this proclamation you heard, we are going to invite our neighboring counties, cities and mayors, and county commission that are joining us in Northeast Tennessee to help us cast a vision for the region for the future. 6 of the 8 counties in our 1st Tennessee Development District have brand new mayors. And as you look around this room, there are a lot of new commission faces, and there's more across the district. This is an opportunity to take these new people, these new ideas, and start fresh and give our Northeast Tennessee region a new look that's going to take us forward into the future. It's really important. One of the things that we need, that we talk to business folks in the community that are trying to grow their business, and when we talk to businesses that are potentially getting ready to relocate here, the one thing they want to talk about is workforce. And so one of the things that we look forward to doing is creating an environment that attracts talent to this area so that we can have that workforce to support our local business growth, our local entrepreneurs, and to be able to attract new business. So having said that, it's now time to allow our county commissioners to introduce themselves. So if we could just start over here, please stand up and give your name, who you represent.
Yes, hello, I'm Joyce Crosswhite. I'm from Sullivan County, District 4.
Hello, I'm Larry England, Washington County Commission.
Hi, I'm Brian Davenport, Washington County Commission. I'm Mark Hutton, Sullivan County Commission, District 2.
Andrew Cross, Sullivan County Commission, District 3.
Jerome Fitzgerald, Washington County, District 3.
David Aker, District 2, Sullivan County. Go Vols. Randy Morrell, District 1, Sullivan County. Good to see you.
I'm Gary McAllister, Washington County, District 13. Go Bucks.
Terry Harker Road, Sullivan County, District 6. I'm Phil Carriger, Washington County Commissioner. Herschel Glover, District 5, Bluff City, Piney Flats, Tunketville.
I'm Susie Williams, I'm District 9 in Washington.
Freddie Malone, Washington County Commission, District 8.
Pat Shaw, Sullivan County Commission, District 11, Kingsport.
Hunter Locke, District 11, Sullivan County.
I'm John Gardner from Kingsport's 11th District, Sullivan County.
Gary Stidham, Sullivan County, 10th District, Kingsport.
Larry Crawford, 10th District, Sullivan County.
Left towards Sullivan County District 9.
Hello everyone, I'm Darlene Bell, District 8, Sullivan County. I'm Alicia Starnes on Sullivan County Commissioner, District 8.
Jim Wheeler, District 14, Washington County.
Angie Stanley, District 7, Sullivan County.
And our chairman, who needs no introduction, Greg Howard.
Thank you all. This is very important. Thank you. This is an informal hearing, so we're going to bend Robert's rules just a bit. You've heard the proclamation that was prepared for Mayor Grandy and myself, and I think it's fitting that we ask for a motion to adopt that proclamation at this informal meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved and moved by Commissioner Hutton, seconded by Commissioner Crawford. Washington County motion.
So moved.
Mr. Carriger, second by Mr. Ingram. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Proclamation is adopted as read. So thank you for that. Joe and I will have an official signing of that proclamation here shortly. I would invite Patrick. Ready to go. Patrick will do a little housekeeping. We'll be ready to eat.
I just thought I'd quickly just review kind of what we have planned. We're going to let you enjoy a meal, and Phil's Dream Pit and their crew have done a great job. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll give you a few minutes to mingle and enjoy your meal, take your seats, and then we'll just give you an update. One of the questions I've gotten as I do prepare to transition away from the airport is, well, where are we going with Aerospace Park? What will happen once that you leave? And the good news is all the same great people who've been doing it are going to continue to do it. We have a great staff here at the airport. It's been my pleasure to work with them, and they make it all happen. And so none of that's going to change. Particularly Mark Canty, who I think most of you know, leads our effort there. He's doing a great job working with our regional economic development partners. So Mark and I are just going to give you an update, and it'll be mostly Mark telling you about the work that has been done to promote this effort and where we're going in the future. So if we could, we would like to invite our county commissioners to lead us through the line. And then after they make it through, if everybody else, our other guests, will get in line, we'll eat until the food is gone. So our county commissioners will make their way over there. We would appreciate it. All right, please continue eating. Feel free to continue to get up and get anything you may need. Mark and I certainly want to keep this casual. If there are any questions you have along the way, stop us at any point. I know several of you were out here on October the 4th for our groundbreaking for the Aerospace Park project, so thank you for that. It was great to see a big crowd and great to kick off that project. So I know we have some members of the commissions that are new and they may not be as familiar with the background on the project. So I want to do a little lead in on kind of how we got to the point we are now, and then really leave most of the time for Mark to tell you about where we're going with promotion of the park and how we're getting the word out to the world of how Northeast Tennessee is ready to accommodate the growth of the aerospace companies that we already have in the region. So number one, when we look at where we're located, just Northeast Tennessee is in a great location, very central to the eastern U.S., and that's a pretty significant point as we're out talking, I think, with all industry, but certainly with the aerospace industry. And it really starts in having the asset of a large commercial service airport. Since 1934, as we've referenced, this airport's continued to grow, and most of our airfield infrastructure and roadways and terminal buildings, we've been able to develop over time using federal and state grants that are funded through the airport system users but it's allowed our region to have a very significant asset. So that's where the concept really started, in that we have a large airfield, able to accommodate very large aircraft, all the way up to, as we've recently had with the President's visit, a 747. And the concept was, how can we use the assets that we have, the infrastructure we have at the airport, to really continue to benefit the region other than just air service. Another great asset we have is the fact that we have a U.S. Customs port here on the airport, and we can't do it with large commercial flights, but business flights can fly directly internationally to Tri-Cities. Some cargo flights, but also aircraft that would come in for any type of service, like a maintenance, repair, and overhaul, which is one of the industries we're trying to recruit, can fly directly into Tri-Cities because we have a customs port. So that's also a pretty significant asset that we have. And so taking those various assets that are already in place became the concept of further developing the sites we have available, or the area that we have adjacent to the Air Cargo Center that can be used to grow aerospace industry. Up to this point, we have invested through our state and federal system about $27 million in various assets of taxiways and ramps and roadways and utilities and the initial site, $27 million worth of infrastructure that gives us, at that time, about 21 acres of land available to accommodate aerospace industry growth. And when I refer to aerospace industry, I'll let Mark tell you in a minute exactly a little more detail of exactly what that means. What are the companies we're going after? So over the last 5 years, we have worked to get the word out that in the aerospace industry that land's available, that our region is ready, that we already have an existing cluster of companies. But what we found was the 21 acres that we had available really lacked when it came to some of the bigger projects. Most of the projects that we encountered really needed about 50 acres, and some of those up to 150 acres. So that's when, around the commission table, the cities and counties, their representatives there, really saw an opportunity to take the assets that are the airport, the airfield, the taxiways, everything that's already in place, and maybe use that as a central regional project to really expand the available land and take the ability to promote Aerospace Park and attract and compete for larger projects to a much grander level. And with that, over the last 2 years, the cities and counties came together with their leadership and created the $8.5 million of local funding that has been dedicated to the Aerospace Park development. And that's a bond issue that went through the airport through the backing of the cities and counties. We were able to take that $8.5 million and use that as leverage to show how the region came together. And that was really a significant story. We took that story to Nashville and competed for some TDOT Aeronautical Economic Development grants, for some Tennessee Economic Development grants, and also a TVA grant. And the fact that the region came together, the cities and counties, and put that type of funding into a project really made the difference with all of those other funding sources. They saw that the region just wasn't asking for funding, that the region put money out there, and that leverage helped us to generate $4.1 million from the TDOT grant, $500,000 from the ECD grant, and $350,000 from the TVA grant. So almost another $5 million. And it was really, I think, because of the message that put out, that Northeast Tennessee came together on a single project, and the result of that is close to a $14 million project that we're able to initiate. So as you look at the site, what you see in orange is really what's ready now. We've been able to expand our 21 acres out to about 35 to 40 acres. And what you see in green is the next phase, and that's what we broke ground on October the 4th. And that's where the $14 million that I just referenced is going to be invested. And over the next 2 years, our goal is to get the site in the condition that you see in front of you. Close to 160 acres in total, about 120 of those are ready, flat, for immediate development. The balance of that acreage is for drainage and all those other support infrastructure that that site needs. And this will be a significant site for aerospace industry. Certainly the largest on-airport, ready-to-build site in the state of Tennessee, among the largest sites in the southeast. And we've held this out many times as a rendering of just what that means, what could be accommodated on that site. And you can see from this, these are large commercial aircraft. So this is a large site, if that gives you a little bit of scale. And so our goal, again, is to complete this area in green. We still have about $1.6 million that we would like to raise, that we just this week, actually just today, we submitted another grant application to the Department of Transportation, Tennessee Department of Transportation, for the Aeronautical Economic Development Fund. And we feel, again, that the compelling story of all that's come together, all the funding partners for this, put us in a great position to compete for that grant. And if we receive that, it lets us complete this last corner that you see down to your bottom left, and that'll complete the entire site. But even as the site exists today, it can accommodate a significant amount of development. So with that, let me invite Mark Canty to come up and talk about the work he does to promote Northeast Tennessee within the aerospace industry.
I've been sweating over whether to stand behind the podium or walk around like Phil Donahue, but I'm going to stand behind the podium. Like Patrick said, we do have land that's immediately developable now. The 105 acres that we are beginning construction on, actually we have begun construction on, gets most of the attention, but we do have land that's immediately developable now. We promote that now, and we have had prospect interest in that side. One thing that we can point to is a pretty good track record in Northeast Tennessee of aerospace and defense, going back to BAE or Holston Defense. I can't remember what it was originally called, but you'll see on the video, I have it in there, all the way up to Edwards & Associates and now Bell Helicopter, now called Bell. We have a long history, a good workforce in aerospace and defense. And that's reflected in our labor shed growth since 2010. This is a study that was done by Next Move Group, the Trent Lott School of Business at Southern Miss. It shows the astronomical growth in our skilled workforce that's necessary for aerospace and aerospace maintenance. The Northeast State Aviation Maintenance Technology Program is critical to our efforts to recruit MROs or maintenance, repair, and overhaul industry. Without that program, we would be at a disadvantage to other communities that have similar sites. They are in the process of establishing a Part 147 AMT, Aviation Maintenance Technology School, that will certify A&P mechanics. A&P mechanics are in extremely high demand throughout the country. There's a major shortage of those. And so we are eagerly anticipating Northeast State having that program up and running over the next year. I believe fall of 2019 is their projected start date for the airframe portion of that certification. When we do have prospects in, we can point to an already existing A&P certification school down the road in Morristown. The Tennessee College of Applied Technology is producing A&P mechanics now. Very highly regarded program. And of course we have the RCAM in Kingsport that does customized training, customized workforce training and things of that nature, which is also important to this type of business. So Patrick mentioned that we would go over what we do to market the park and how we do that. One of the main ways that we do that is that we travel a lot and we go to trade shows and we network, and I've just returned from 3 separate trade shows. I was in Boston at the Aircraft Interiors Expo, Cargo Facts in San Diego, and also MBAA with Network Sullivan Partnership in Orlando. I just returned yesterday from that. So one thing that we've noticed as we go to these trade shows year after year after year is that the name brand for Aerospace Park becomes more recognized throughout the industry. We become more familiar with the industry itself, and so we are establishing a good contact list that way. MRO Americas is probably our #1 trade show. We put the most resources into it, usually partner with Networks Partnership on that. It would be considered our Super Bowl, I guess you would say. It's the conference where we see the most benefit and the most opportunity to attract the type of business that we would be looking for. And so MRO Americas, I have some statistics written down here. It allows us to get in front of 14,000 attendees. There are 850 fellow exhibitors there. Aircraft Interiors Expo we sponsored this year. We received promotion on on the conference website. We received 33,000 website impressions from them, and also floor stickers on the conference floor. When we go to MBAA, we typically do some sort of sponsorship. This year it was we had an ad running in business expansion. MBAA is the largest business aviation conference in the world. It allows us to get in front of, in one way or another, this time in a publication, in front of 27,000 attendees. There are about 1,100 exhibitors at that conference. We also attend Heli Expo, do some sort of sponsorship there, typically a conference guide ad or something of that nature. And I mentioned Cargo Facts, which is the only conference that's devoted to a segment of the industry called P2F conversions, which is passenger to freighter conversions, where they take retiring passenger aircraft and convert into cargo freighters. So we had a sponsorship at Cargo Facts this year where when the attendees checked into their room, they had a room drop bag, a gift bag waiting on them in the room. They had some socks and some other items from Aerospace Park in there. Our target market, probably our largest possibility, our largest target would be maintenance, repair, and overhaul providers. And those providers simply take care of anything that happens from the time an aircraft rolls off the assembly line until it's retired. So any kind of maintenance would be covered by the MRO industry, and that's where we see possibly our biggest opportunity. Completion delivery centers, aircraft conversions, as I mentioned, P2F conversions, where they convert aircraft into freighters, and also manufacturing. Just an example of the trade show booth we might do. We typically have a 10 by 20 booth at MRO Americas. It gives room for us to promote the park. We also typically include Northeast State and their aviation maintenance program in our display, and Network Sullivan Partnership typically pays about half of the bill to go to these conferences, so we give them a sliver too. And we do work closely with our economic development partners. NetRep, Mitch and his gang we've hosted prospects before, and they've taken us around, shown us the quality of life in Johnson City. We've taken prospects to tour the VA campus and also East Tennessee State University. And of course, Networks is the EDO for Sullivan County, so any projects that we get from the state will come through Networks. So we work closely with Clay and his gang. We do work closely with TNECD. We try to what we call recruit the recruiters, to make sure that they know what we have, so when a project comes open, that they don't leave us out and they include us in the running for that. Also, TVA Economic Development's a great partner. We've had the aerospace project managers from both TVA Economic Development and TNECD to visit the airport over the past year. And we do a lot of site selection consultant networking. Over the past few months, we've started visiting site selectors. We've traveled to Greenville, South Carolina to visit with two in conjunction with Networks, and also to Dallas to visit a site selection consultant. We've also hosted several prospects over the past 3 or 4 years. Some of those were brought to us through projects from our economic development partners, and then a few of them were self-generated projects that we drummed up just by beating the bushes on LinkedIn and trying to find out who might be looking for a facility. As far as industry publications, we just ran an ad in Expansion Solutions, which is over on the table, so please take a copy of that. It's a 2-page ad. It gives thanks to all of our financial partners in the aerospace park development. Also, we have some statistics. We try to keep up with the circulation of each publication to make sure we're getting the biggest bang for the buck on what we advertise. We've just ran an ad, as I said, in Business Solutions in conjunction with MBAA, so the 27,000 solar attendees were able to see our ad in that publication. And I do a lot of promotion on LinkedIn. Most of that is just me reaching out to, doing a lot of research, reaching out to those that seem to be interested or at least looking at expanding. And sometimes I can be a tremendous pest, but that has garnered us at least 2 site visits in the past. So I guess persistence pays sometimes. We also have an aerospace park video that I will show you soon. And on the table, there are flash drives that have everybody take one, and they have the video on there and also a marketing report. Our video has gotten tremendous response on YouTube. It's received about 15,000 views and probably between 5,000 and 6,000 more on LinkedIn. So it's so far it's getting out there, and I think that the reception to it has been highly favorable. The Aerospace Park socks are a very popular item. We also have recently, I don't know what I did with that, but we've recently produced video cards. You open the card up and yes. So you open the card up and hopefully it plays. It does play. Very good. So our Aerospace Park video plays when you open it up, and this is the ad that ran in Business Solutions. So we also have several other promotional products. We try to get creative and purchase things that we don't think will be thrown into the trash can. And with that, I would like to show you the Aerospace Park video. I hope the volume is appropriate here. I'm not tested it myself, but here we go.
Northeast Tennessee has a long and successful history of aerospace and defense, dating back to World War II. Today, led by Bell, whose completion center in Piney Flats employs nearly 500 aviation maintenance technicians, engineers, and support personnel, the industry continues to make a significant impact on the region's economy and quality of life. Northeast Tennessee is also home to many additional world-class aerospace manufacturing, maintenance, and support companies, comprising a vibrant cluster more than capable of supporting future growth. With a regional focus on workforce development, along with a superior transportation infrastructure, Northeast Tennessee is the perfect location for the growing industry. Aerospace Park, a regional partnership, is a 160-acre direct airfield industrial development. The park has over 20 acres certified for immediate development under the Select Tennessee Sites program, and 140 additional acres under construction. Industrial utilities are already installed, and the connecting roadway systems are ready for heavy industrial traffic. Tri has an 8,000-foot main runway and an airfield that can accommodate virtually any large commercial jet, including Boeing 777s and Boeing 747s. Tri provides 12 daily connections to 2 international hubs by Delta and American Airlines, connecting the region internationally. And low-cost carrier Allegiant Air provides service to several popular Florida destinations. Customs Port 2027 and Foreign Trade Zone 204 are in place to support international trade. Aerospace Park is conveniently located at the intersection of 2 major interstates, providing short-distance access to 2 deep-water ports. PricewaterhouseCoopers recently ranked Tennessee the 4th lowest cost of business state in the country for aerospace manufacturing, supported by a labor pool that's seen aerospace engineers increase by 94%, and aircraft parts and equipment manufacturing employees increased by 440% since 2010. Northeast Tennessee has the workforce to accommodate the industry. With the aerospace industry challenged by a nationwide shortage of maintenance technicians, Northeast Tennessee is committed to developing a highly skilled workforce with a dedicated focus on aviation maintenance technology. Adjacent to Tri-Cities Airport, Northeast State Community College offers both degree and certificate programs in aviation maintenance technology, as well as many other related in-demand skill sets. In nearby Morristown, the Tennessee College of Applied Technology has a well-established FAA Part 147 school with a long history of producing A&P licensed technicians. Additionally, Aerospace Park is surrounded by highly accredited university and research partners, offering aerospace industry and advanced engineering degrees. Aerospace Park at Tri-Cities Airport in Northeast Tennessee has a build-ready location, available workforce, and existing education and training programs to be the perfect site for your direct airfield facility. We invite you to visit and see why Northeast Tennessee is one of the nation's top areas for aerospace development.
Hope you enjoyed that, and like I said, if you want to pick up a copy of that video, the flash jobs are over on the table, have the video already loaded on them. And with that, nope, we're not going to do that again. With that, I would open the floor up for any questions you might have. Yes, sir.
The slide shows a depiction of the whole 120 acres built out. If that were the case, what impact, if any, would it have on the normal commercial airline operation?
Patrick, I think that would have a tremendous impact on commercial service as far as adding additional routes and additional service and things of that nature. If the park was built out completely, we've estimated that probably equate to about 2,000 jobs. So that would be a tremendous impact.
You could accommodate the increase that you received.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
The rendering you have over there, the footprint you have there, is that where you are going? Is that the targeted areas of development that you're looking at today? Or will that change as need from the companies that come on site?
Are you asking if it will develop exactly like that?
Or close to that?
Possibly, possibly not, just depending on the prospect and the projects. It could end up looking nothing like that if we had someone come in and need the entire site.
Mark, will this, the 120 acres that it's being worked on, will that be in stages as far as, like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3?
My understanding of that is that 105 acres will be completed by November 2020, and that will leave only a small corner that Patrick referred to when we were going back to the $1 million+ from TDOT in that grant process. Anyone else? Thank you.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. Mark does a great job. He's very passionate about bringing jobs and investment to Northeast Tennessee, and it's been fun to see the things that he's come up with, the clever ideas, and how he's generated that interest. And it's been great to, Mark does a great job of partnering with our regional economic development groups, and we couldn't do this without them. We know a lot about building airports, and Mark is really our economic development professional on staff, but he works very closely with networks and NetRep and Tennessee ECD and TVA, so we couldn't do it without all of them, so we really appreciate the partnership from all those groups. So Richard, with that, I think we're exactly on time for the agenda, so at this point we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I could ask, my friend Joe is on his way. We're supposed to have closing remarks, but I don't think I'll have any closing remarks because this is a continuing project. We want to see you again. We want to see you together again. We'll have some opportunities to do this in the near future as we progress, and we'll keep each commission informed. And again, here in Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, Western North Carolina, we have a history of accomplishment. People who do things on their own. We love our partners at the state, and we're going to access those partnerships to the fullest extent that we can. But we know that ultimately our future lies in Northeast Tennessee and working with our neighbors here and with our businesses here to grow Northeast Tennessee jobs and grow Northeast Tennessee populations. Now, Joe will have some closing remarks, and we're going to do a little photo op and sign this thing, Joe. Make it official.
Richard said he wasn't going to have any closing remarks, and I'm glad he didn't. So I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and particularly Jason and our friends from Southwest Virginia, from Washington County up there in Southwest Virginia, making this a real large regional statement. So we appreciate you again, and travel safe on the way home, and thank you for your attention here tonight.